Council forum, we will have 2 minutes for each can introduce themselves, and then we'll have 2 minutes to answer each question. I'm going to start with Mark.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I'm going to go ahead and thank CDC for inviting me here, us here, and having this forum. This is so much about democracy. Obviously, the office is talking about the education, but informing the people, keeping them informed and educated, that is the very backbone of democracy. I'm Mark Covington, running for one of the at-large seats in the Board of Education. Very quick elevator pitch. I am the 32 years in public schools, 5 years at the college level, training teachers how to teach. The reason why I got into education is very simple and very common. I was that kid in elementary school, and if there are any teachers in the room, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I was that kid that if you saw my name on your list in August, you were really questioning your career choices. But fortunately for me, my mother has the patience of a saint and worked as a group, partnered with the teachers in that building. And it wasn't an overnight thing before they got me straight, but they got me straight. And I really felt as if, hey, you know what, this is kind of cool. I need to give back in this way. To the world. I've always believed that education is a solution, or at least part of the solution, for every social ill out there. I can't think of anything that won't benefit, that doesn't benefit from reasoned thought, doing research, and diving deep. And just as importantly as I wrap things up, my whole philosophy about teaching education has always been about teaching the whole student. Academics is crucial, but students are people. Therefore, we have to address the whole student. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Lan Xu. I'm running for the Board of Education because education is about opportunity. Strong public education is the foundation of a thriving community, and every student deserves the opportunity to excel. I'm a proud mom of 2 students who attended HCPSS. Professionally, I'm the Vice President of Health Policy at a research firm where I use data and evidence to inform national health policy. Previously, I held executive roles at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services at the White House, where I managed large federal budgets and complex policy initiatives. Locally, I have been involved with the school system for a long time since our family moved here 12 years ago. I served on PTAs, social clubs, school committees. Currently, I serve on the operating budget committee, so those experiences gave me, insight into our complex budget situation and policy landscape, as well as the issues that our families and educators face. Beyond education, I always also served on multiple community boards and commissions. So I understand the importance of bringing everybody together to formulate policy solutions collaboratively. On the board, I will bring my staff up, capital, support for our students and educators, transparency in decision-making, empower our students to achieve their highest potential, and preparation of our students for the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you. We will go through the questions and also who goes forward first. We'll start with Roman with what specific actions would you take as a member of the Board of Education to address ongoing budget shortfalls?
Thank you for that question. That is the million-dollar question. We all understand the importance of physical support for our school system. Howard County has long had a reputation of having a strong school system, but I have seen the number. We have seen the number members. Our educational outcomes have been slipping. Before the pandemic, we had only 7 schools that have 3 stars on Anchor, according to MSD, and we had 31 5-star schools. And last year, we had 21 3 and under star schools and only 10 5-star schools. And that is directly related to cuts in our educational positions, supporting programs, and supporting staff. And to solve that problem, so first of all, the Board of Ed doesn't control the budget, but we should be a strong advocate to fully fund our schools. So that is what I have been doing in front of the board, in front of the county executive, county council, state delegates, strong advocate to fully fund our schools, both on the operating budget side and on the capital budget side. And also, we have to be responsible steward of our financial resources. So take a hard look at how we have been managing the resources that are given to us, whether we are spending the resources on the student needs that are most prevalent. Those are the questions that I will be addressed on the board. Thanks.
I was here earlier when the county council candidates were speaking, and I was glad, very relieved to hear that all of them support fully funding schools, because that's, of course, number one thing. As Landon just mentioned, the school board members don't get to decide how much money the school gets. They're just tasked with going ahead and figuring where that money is going to go if it's time to cover things. But certainly, my responsibility as a school board member, as a lifelong educator, is to say, hey, look, y'all, this is not enough. I know what you're saying, and I know there are other concerns, but I can't think of any other area that is more vital to fully fund than education. It really is the foundation of our society. It really does provide the freedom that we all talk about by providing opportunities. So the idea that we're going to shortchange education, especially here in Howard County, with the wonderful history that we've had very successful schools, is crazy to me. So one of the things I absolutely would do would be an advocate. Actually, I'll be more than that. I'm going to be a pain in the backside, because I'm not going to let anyone tell me that, oh, well, you've got to think about other. No, I don't. I think about the kids, and I think about how important it is to make sure they have every opportunity. I have 2 children who graduated through the Howard County school system, last one in 2009. And things are different even since then. And when I say different, I mean the number of times that we've had to go ahead and talk about, well, we have to cut this, we have to cut that. Not acceptable. So that's the first thing. I'm not going to hear it. Tell someone else. I'm not going to hear that we don't have the money. Go find the money. It's that simple. But absolutely advocate for full funding. Student-facing positions, which is really what the school board works with, would be my priority, meaning making sure that when those cuts have to be made, or my dead body, when those cuts have to be made, they will be ones that hurt the students the least. Terribly worried.
Besides funding, what do you see as HCPSS's top challenge?
Good question. I have a lot of priorities when I take a look at the school system. I think the number 1 or the number 2 challenge, number 1 is going to be funding. Number 2 would be recruiting and retaining highly effective teachers. Again, speaking about who's really doing the work. An effective teacher is worth their weight in diamonds, not gold, but worth their weight in diamonds. And they need to be properly compensated. And at the same time, they also need to be held accountable in terms of making sure they're doing their job. There are always 2 sides to those things. But we know there's a nationwide shortage of teachers. I was listening to an educational researcher, and there really is not a shortage of teachers. There's a shortage of teachers who are willing to go ahead and take the job. And that is that's not a good look. That's not a good look for our country, for that to be the case. So recruiting and retaining teachers, I have some ideas. providing mentors for new teachers so that they can learn. Because the number one reason why new teachers leave is because they feel alone. They feel as if they don't know how to do the job and that there's no one there to help them because every other teacher is so busy because of lack of funding, filling in here and there, they can't always stop to reach back to help those new teachers out. So that's just one of my ideas as far as helping to retain teachers. Special ed and mental health facilities within our schools. We do have, of course, special ed, that's law, but are we fully funding? Are we fully staffing? Are we doing everything that we can to make sure that those students and their accommodations, are they being met? And mental health, I'll end with this part. We know that it's very challenging, not just through social media, but just period, very challenging to be a teenager these days. We need to make sure that we have in-school accessible programs that are robust to help students address their mental health needs. Thank you.
Students are at the heart of our school system. So my priority is to look at every decision from the perspective, is that going to serve our students? So we talked about larger class sizes, shortage of teachers, increase in special ed students' needs that are not being met. So all of these are crucial issues that we need to keep in mind, and especially looking at what are the goals for our school system. I think our school system should not be always reactive. We need visionary leaders on the board to lead us, to think through what are our goals for our students in this changing world. Is it college, career? What other pathways do we have? What are our goals for our special ed students when they graduate from our high schools? What about in the changing world of AI? Are we prepared to deal with the implications? Are we training our students to have the sophistication of using the new tools? Those are the questions that I think every day. It's not a one, there's no silver bullet, but we have to recognize different students have different needs, and we have to tailor our programming accordingly. I have talked with hundreds of parents across the county. I have heard from special ed parents, I've heard from parents of students with GT programs, and I've heard from parents of students who are in the middle. We cannot afford to ignore any of those student bodies. We have to be able to serve everyone and to narrow the achievement gap.
Thank you. The next question is, do you believe there should be SROs in our schools? Please explain why or why not.
SROs, and I understand it, currently serves not only as not only in terms of disciplinary rules and support, but also have become a community liaison type organization. I understand we have to have a safe environment for our school system, and SROs play a role, but we also need to understand that different communities have different relationships with law enforcement, and we need to be conscious of that. And when we are selecting SROs, we have to be conscious of their credentials, their ability to connect with students. And I have heard from many students that their SROs in their high schools have become their role models, have become another synthetic ear to talk with about their daily struggles. I think that's the type of SROs we want in our schools. And in addition to that, I think SROs we currently have SROs in each of the high schools and selected middle schools. They cannot fulfill all the security needs of our schools. So how do we make sure that we have other staffing in the school systems to help ensure the safety and also to uplift the student voice and provide guidance and mentorship along the way. I think that's going to be very important going forward.
SROs in the school, they do have value, they do serve a function. The issue to me isn't so much about whether they belong to the school. In a perfect world, of course, they would not be. For me, it's about the training and who they answer to. Essentially, how the SRO program works quickly is that they're volunteers. They're part of the police force. They've gone through police academy, that's one thing. But they volunteer to go ahead and leave street patrol to come and work in a school. Again, nothing wrong with that, except that there's not been training for that individual to go ahead and how to work with adolescents, with teens. If there hasn't been training to help them understand how to de-escalate situations, and they come in to the schoolhouse with the same mentality of, I'm going to take control of the situation and I'm going to do it my way, which is how many police force members are trained. That is not compatible with the schoolhouse. It just is not. Students go through things. Students need our patience. Doesn't mean they get away with things. It doesn't mean we just let them off the hook, but it does mean that we need to understand that they are still children. And if the SRO doesn't understand that, then the SRO has no business in that schoolhouse. And the other part about this that I found out myself personally, being a principal and having an SRO in my building, is that they do not answer directly to the principal. They answer to the police force, the commander, sergeant, whomever, which on the surface sounds great, but again, as I just laid out, that doesn't always work out because you're not on the street, you're not on a patrol, you're not doing this or that. So I wouldn't, removing SROs would not be a first initiative for me, but changing the policy, changing the memorandum of understanding between the school system and the police force and how this program works would absolutely be a priority. And if it couldn't be something put in place that really benefits students, then yes, we would have to do away with the program.
Thank you. Do you think the current process for determining whether books should be removed from our school libraries is adequate? If not, how would you improve it?
The concern that I have about the process per se is it still comes down to someone's decision. Someone's decision that can be influenced by a loud enough voice or enough loud voices. And my belief, well, I'm going to start with my approach actually. My approach is simple. You have the right to defend your child and protect your child from whatever you want, whomever you want. That's great. You don't have the right to extend that onto my children. And so, fine, you don't want something, that's fine, then don't expose your children to that. That's fine. But in so doing, if you're asking the school system to, or the library system for that fact, to go ahead and ban books and that sort of thing, then you are cheating my children of their rights, and that's not acceptable. That is never acceptable. Because we know, simply speaking, your rights end where my rights begin. And it really is that simple. And so that's my concern with the process that we currently have in place. Generally speaking, Howard County, I think, has done an okay job of holding its ground. There are certainly some exceptions. But that is my concern, that if there's enough, there are not enough loud voices who don't care about the constitutionality of this whole process, that they will begin to make inroads, and that is something that's just not okay.
I grew up in China, in the totalitarian regime. And book bans were common, and I'm fundamentally against book bans. As Mark said, there are rights where your rights to the way you want to have of your parents doesn't, shouldn't infringe on other people. And I think we have a system where books are selected by professionals, by our librarians, by our teachers, and that is fundamentally what I believe. If parents have problems with certain books, I think they should have the right to let their opinions heard. And as I said, all those decisions, there are no hard and fast rules. Those are made by people that have that are doing their job to the best of their ability, but that doesn't mean that, with more information, you wouldn't want to change your mind at some point. So, that's the beauty of democracy, because every voice deserves to be heard. But I'm a firm believer in system. So we have to set up the system correctly. We have to respect the opinions of the experts, and we have to make sure that our students are exposed to a variety of opinions, lived experiences that does not detract from their educational experience, that adds to their educational experience.
Okay. HCPSS says that it is committed to providing an educational and work environment that is free from discrimination, fosters equitable opportunities, and values diversity and commonality. What does that mean to you? And what specific actions would you take as a member of the Board of Education to support achievement of this goal?
Equity is very important, and diversity and support, that is very important. First of all, we have to make sure that our school system is a safe place. That is, we have to combat hate violence and hate crimes. So I serve on the Governor's Commission on Hate Crime Response and Prevention. We need to make sure that all of our population, all of our students and educators have the right and feel safe in the environment. So that's number one. Number two, diversity is our strength. We need to make sure that our teacher population, our leadership reflects the diverse student body that we serve. Third, we have to make sure that the training and professional support is there for our educators to be able to learn and develop the skills to serve the diverse needs of our population.
I do want to point out that HCPSS and as you all already know, is a wonderful school system, but the teachers union, HCA, actually asked this question of both Lan and I when we were interviewing for the Apple ballot, the recommendation from HCEA, which we both got. Diversity is key, is crucial. In my mind, we need to take a look at HR. I'll just drill down. Human relations for HCPSS. And Lan actually mentioned it just a moment ago about being able to reflect and for students to be able to see themselves in educators. And there's no question, and I give Bill Barnes, the superintendent, credit. He even says that we are not making that happen for all the students in our schools. Not everyone has a diverse staff, whether it be administration or whether it be in the classroom. So HR has to take a look at what their practices are, where they're recruiting teachers from, who they're trying to hire, that sort of thing. But there's no question that the school system in general very much values diversity. It very much looks to try to go ahead and live those words that are part of its vision. So me pointing out that we're falling short doesn't mean that, okay, we should throw the baby out with the bathwater. It just means we need to try harder because it's that important, it's that valuable. And it's not just valuable for the school system itself. That's what draws so many people here to Howard County in the first place. I know that's why I moved here 20-some years ago, because of the diversity in the school system, and how wonderful it is to have my children be able to go to schools, not only that we're good, but the schools where there are so many different cultures, so many different ways of thinking, and so many different ways of viewing the world, that it really is a value added as far as that goes. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is, how do you think the priority for HCPSS school renovations should be set? Should there be a limit to how long a school can be deferred for maintenance and/or renovation?
In terms of school renovations, first off, we all know that the school system is behind for maintenance, very much so. Depending upon whom you ask, we're talking about as high as $200 million behind in various repairs. A lot of that has to do with HVAC, roofing, that sort of thing. Doesn't build big buildings, those are some of the first to go. Should there be a limit? That's difficult to say. My first answer is yes, there should be a limit. Simply because, if for no other reason, one reason why we're here now as a school system is because somewhere along the line, someone kicked the can down the road, and then kicked it again, and then kicked it again. And so that's where we find ourselves literally hundreds of millions of dollars behind. And that's just not tenable. And we hopefully will all rise up and say, yeah, enough of that. I know that I, on the school board, will say, yeah, enough of that. We need to go ahead and fulfill our duty. We have a responsibility. In terms of prioritizing schools, student and staff health has to be the high priority, plain and simple. I, as a professor at Loyola, teaching teachers how to teach, I've been to school systems, 6 different school systems, a lot of different private schools. Some of them, I will be honest, in school buildings that some of us would not set foot in ourselves, much less let our students, our children attend. We don't have that issue here in Howard County. So I say that to point out that we need to appreciate the fact that we don't have that here in Howard County, and that we can't allow things to slip. So student health and staff health are key in terms of prioritizing which major projects need to be taken care of first, because we want to make sure we're always sending that message to the residents as well as our children, especially our children, that yes, we value education, we value you, and here's one way we can show. Thank you.
As a health policy person, first of all, just saying that we have mold, we have lack in drinking water, that is unacceptable to me. We have to take action, and this is a widespread problem, not isolated in one school. We have so much needs in the community that we have to take care of. Mark mentioned we have almost 200 million deferred maintenance needs, and that needs grows by 30 million every year. The longer we wait, the more we are in the red, right? And at some point, deferred maintenance became a major incident. Water pipes broke down, and that requires more and more money to repair. So we have to take a systematic view of our different maintenance needs. And that comes down to the first question that we have discussed, the budget. Because at the end of the day, it is a money issue. It's both a money issue and also a prioritization issue. So we have to have sufficient funding so that we can start to chip away at our deferred maintenance needs. And that is how I have been testifying in front of all of that was on the government for so long, because I understand we can not wait any longer. Our students cannot wait any longer. And in terms of prioritization, I think what the board has been doing is a good step to have some metrics put in place so that the community and the board and the school system can work together on setting up our priorities together. And with all new programs, you can modify and improve, but I think that is a good step in the direction.
What are your thoughts on the implementation of Common Lit, and how will you address concerns from teachers, parents, and students about the loss of long-form novels and engaging curriculum?
Common Lit is actually a new topic that I'm just getting to understand more. So from my understanding, it's a curriculum that is more prescriptive. So that is so my question, without having delved too deep into the specifics of that curriculum, my first question is how do we balance the curriculum and the needs for our educators to adapt those prescriptive curriculums to meet the needs of their students in their classrooms. So that's my first question. And second, in terms of the taking out novel, I mentioned that I'm a policy person, but I didn't mention that I have a PhD in literature. So absolutely, novel is important. I'm a big supporter of literature. And long novel, that serves a different purpose than different genres, like your poetry, your short stories. And the ability to read a long novel, to grasp and analyze it, that is essential to develop students' literacy and analytical skill sets. Especially in this day and age, when our children are glued on the phones on TikTok, like 10 seconds short videos, the ability to sit down with a novel, where else can you get that opportunity? It is in schools. I think we should look hard at the decision, why it happens, how can we bring that back in at what grade.
Reading and writing literally changed the brain, literally. And I started education in 1986, first, yes, with dinosaurs, in 1986. And back then, even then, as I was starting, the idea of reading and writing on a daily basis was being phased out. It was being phased out for what I think are the wrong reasons. That's not the question. In terms of Common Lit is a part, in addition to the overall curriculum that the county has. Some of the people I've spoken with, teachers I've spoken with, some say it's okay, some are very much against it. I can say this though, that the farther we move away from novels, as Lan mentioned, reading novels, or sustained reading is what we used to call it, the more we're cheating our children of proper education and proper development, proper ability to reason and to stay focused. So if Common Lit were the only part of the curriculum, then I would be very much against it. But this also brings up another piece that we need to take into consideration. What is the county doing, the county curriculum office? Are they making sure that Common Lit is just a supplement, a part of? Is the county curriculum office ensuring that if, okay, fine, bring in this program over here, but are we still focusing on the sustained reading and, just as important, sustained writing? Those are the kinds of questions, I'm fortunate enough to make it on the board, that I absolutely want to ask the curriculum office to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a yes or no question, and you can elaborate if you wish. Will you honor religious and cultural holidays and not turn them into snow makeup days? For example, Chinese New Year, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, and Juneteenth.
Will I honor them?
Yes.
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 Okay, and this is the last question we have for this segment, and it is, what is something the current Board of Education is not addressing? And if elected, how would you handle what you just shared?
Well, I think we've gotten about the funding piece, but there's limited what they can do on the funding. The board itself can do. So in terms of what I don't think that they're completely focused on, or perhaps may need to focus on a little bit more, would be accountability for the superintendent. And please let me explain, because I do support the superintendent, Bill Barnes. I think he's in a difficult position because historically, a lot of decisions that were made prior to him coming in. But the idea that, for instance, we're talking about cuts and that sort of thing, or teacher retention, teacher training not taking place, that needs a much more specified response from the superintendent, and I believe the board needs to be the ones to hold the superintendent accountable for that. Special education, as I mentioned earlier, why is it that we know that we're starting the school year understaffed? AI, I think, is a major area. AI is here. It's not coming. It is here. And I know the board has looked at it. I know the superintendent has looked at it. But we're already behind with AI. What are we doing to make sure? Because I was in the schoolhouse when cell phones came in, smartphones came in, and how that just disrupted everything. We can't make that same mistake again because we just can't afford to. AI is that much more powerful a phenomenon than cell phones were, so we need to get ahead of that. So those are just a few things that I think the board needs to take a look at. Thank you.
The board is doing a lot of hard work. And they face decisions that are not easy. But I think what I wish we could do more of is a visionary leader. As the board being not always reactive to the cuts, to the demands of the communities, but take proactive action to think through and get back to what our core values of our education is. And based on that, we need to bring joy back to our classrooms. I have heard from so many educators, they don't feel the joy anymore, right? Because they are overburdened. They are dealing with, one emergency after another. If you talk to students, a lot of times they are, because their needs are not being met, they feel either bored or over-challenged, and it's very hard for our students to be successful if the environment is not conducive to it. And the unity of the community. A lot of times we have seen and heard communities being pitted against each other, different levels of governments are fighting with each other. I think we need a more unified message. We are one Harvard community. We are one HCPSS. We are here to serve all of our children, to help, and I really mean it, all of our children, regardless of where you live, what your background is, what your socioeconomic status is. We are here to serve all our children, and that should be our North Star. Thank you.
Thank you both for taking the time to join us today. I'm going to hand the mic over to Dawn to give us next steps.
All right, thank you again so much. We're going to take about 5 minutes to just reset for our third